So you've been doing the right thing, diligently saving in your IRA, thinking you're on track for a comfortable retirement. You make your contributions, you check the balance, and you feel pretty secure. But what if I told you that 5 simple, very common blunders could be silently sabotaging that nest egg, potentially costing you tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars? We've seen these mistakes turn retirement dreams into nightmares way too often. And we're not talking about complex Wall Street schemes. These are simple errors made by everyday people who are just trying to build a secure future. They're the kind of mistakes that don't raise any red flags until it's much, much too late. But today, we're going to fix that. We're going to shine a spotlight on these 5 critical errors before they get a chance to mess up your retirement. And more importantly, I'm going to give you clear, simple steps to correct them. So, if you want to make sure the money you're saving today actually builds the future you deserve, you'll want to stick around. Section 1. Mistake 1. The last-minute contributor. All right, let's jump into the first mistake. And it's one that millions of people make every year. Waiting until the absolute last minute to contribute to your IRA. You know the scene. It's April. Tax season is chaos, and you suddenly remember you haven't funded your IRA for last year. You scramble, get the money in just under the wire before the tax filing deadline, and breathe a sigh of relief. You got it done. What you don't realize is the huge opportunity you've just thrown away. By waiting until April 2026 to make your 2025 contribution, you've missed out on more than 15 months of potential growth. Think about what that really means. It's not just a few dollars. The most powerful force in your retirement account is compounding, when your money earning money and then those earnings making their own money. When you delay your contribution, you're benching your most valuable player for most of the game. Imagine 2 people. Investor A puts $7,000 into their IRA on January 1st, 2025. Investor B contributes the exact same $7,000. But waits until April 15th, 2026. If we assume a 7% annual return, Investor A's money has had 15 extra months to work for them. Over a 30-year savings journey, if you always wait until the deadline, your final nest egg could be tens of thousands of dollars smaller. It's the same amount of money, just contributed at the wrong time. You're basically giving yourself a major and totally unnecessary financial handicap. So, what's the fix? It's surprisingly simple. Automate your savings. Stop treating your IRA contribution as a once-a-year headache. Instead, handle it like any other monthly bill. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your IRA. For 2025, the contribution limit is $7,000 for those under 50 and $8,000 for those 50 and over. If you're under 50, that's about $583 a month. By automating it, you get your money working immediately, maximizing its time to compound. Plus, you'll be dollar cost averaging, which helps smooth out the bumps from market volatility. It's time to stop being a last-minute contributor. Put your retirement on autopilot and let time do the heavy lifting. Section 2. Mistake 2. The contribution catastrophe. This second mistake is a real double whammy: contributing too much or contributing to the wrong kind of IRA. Either one can lead to painful and completely avoidable penalties and tax problems. Let's talk about over-contributing. That annual IRA contribution limit of $7,000. Or $8,000 if you're 50 or older for 2025 is for the total amount you put into all your IRAs combined, not per account. This confuses a lot of people. Maybe you have a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA and you think you can max them both out. You can't. If you contribute more than the legal limit, the IRS hits you with a 6% penalty on the extra amount. And here's the really painful part. That 6% penalty gets charged every single year the excess money stays in your account. A simple $2,000 over contribution that you don't notice for 5 years will cost you $600 in penalties alone. All while that money is just sitting there creating a toxic tax issue. The other side of this is picking the wrong type of IRA. It's the classic traditional versus Roth debate. People often just pick one without really getting the long-term tax difference. With a traditional IRA, you might get a tax deduction today, but you'll pay income taxes on every dollar you withdraw in retirement. With a Roth IRA, you use after-tax dollars, so no upfront deduction, but all your qualified withdrawals in retirement are 100% tax-free. Choosing wrong can cost you a fortune. If you're a young professional in a low tax bracket now, but you expect to be in a much higher one later, a Roth is probably a fantastic deal. On the other hand, if you're in your peak earning years, that upfront deduction from a traditional IRA might be more valuable, especially if you think you'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement. Rushing this decision can lock you into a bad tax situation for decades. The solution has two parts. First, to avoid over-contributing, just be mindful. If you have a few IRAs, keep a running total of your contributions for the year. If you do slip up and go over, you can usually avoid the penalty by withdrawing the excess money and any earnings on it before you file your taxes. Second, to choose the right IRA, you have to make an educated guess about your future. A good rule of thumb, if you think your tax rate will be higher in retirement, lean Roth. If you think it'll be lower, lean traditional. Honestly, for a lot of people, having a bit of both is a great way to diversify your tax situation in retirement. Don't just guess. Take an hour to really understand the difference. It's one of the best returns on your time you'll ever get. Section 3. Mistake 3. The cash drag, calamity. This next mistake is one of the quietest, most sneaky destroyers of wealth out there. It's the mistake of making your IRA contribution and then doing nothing. You move the money into the account and it just sits there. As cash, this is a financial tragedy hiding in plain sight. You have to understand that an IRA isn't an investment itself. It's just the account that holds your investments. Think of it like a greenhouse. A greenhouse gives plants a special environment to grow, protecting them from bad weather. But if you just toss a bag of seeds on the floor of the greenhouse and never actually plant them, nothing's going to happen. Your IRA is the greenhouse. Your contributions are the seeds. If you don't invest your money, it simply won't grow. Letting your contributions sit in cash is like letting your retirement dreams die on the vine. The whole point of an IRA is to use the power of compounding growth over many years. Cash doesn't do that. In fact, with inflation always eating away at the value of a dollar, your cash is actively losing buying power every single day. Let's say you put $7,000 in your IRA, and it sits in cash for a year. If inflation is 3%, by the end of the year, your $7,000 can only buy what $6,790 could have bought last year. You've literally gone backward. Now imagine that effect over 20 or 30 years. The lost growth is staggering. We're talking hundreds of thousands, maybe even over $1 million of difference. It's like trying to win a marathon by standing still at the starting line. Thankfully, the fix is simple. Invest your money. Every dollar that goes into your IRA needs a job to do. You need a plan to put that money to work in a mix of things like stocks and bonds, usually through low-cost index funds or ETFs. How you invest should depend on your age, how you feel about risk, and when you plan to retire. If you're young, you can typically afford more risk and lean more into stocks for growth. As you get closer to retirement, you'll want to shift to be more conservative and protect what you've built. A lot of brokerages offer target date funds that do all this for you automatically, making it a super simple set a tan for get option if you're just starting. So do me a favor, check your IRA right now. If you see a big cash balance just sitting there, you're making this mistake. Put that money to work today. Hey, if you're finding this helpful and you're starting to see how important these little details are, do me a quick favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel and makes sure more people can find this info and avoid these expensive mistakes. And if you haven't already, maybe subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos designed to protect and grow your money. Section 4. Mistake 4. The rollover roulette. The fourth mistake is what I call playing roulette with your rollovers. A rollover is moving money from an old 401k at a previous job into an IRA. It's one of the best ways to consolidate and simplify your retirement savings. But it's also packed with traps that can trigger huge immediate tax bills and penalties if you do it wrong. The biggest issue comes from how you move the money. There are two options: a direct rollover or an indirect rollover. An indirect rollover is where your old company cuts you a check for your retirement money. This is where the nightmare begins. First, by law, they have to withhold 20% of the money for taxes. Can you imagine the panic? You thought you were just moving some money around, and suddenly you're looking at a massive tax bill and have to find $20,000 in 2 months. And there's another sneaky rule, the once-per-year rule for indirect rollovers between two IRAs, which says you can only do one in a 365-day period. It's not per calendar year. Mess that up, and the second rollover becomes fully taxable. These aren't just little administrative slip-ups. They can instantly erase a huge piece of your retirement savings. The solution: never take the check. Mean it. Always, always, always use a direct rollover, sometimes called a trustee-trustee transfer. In a direct rollover, the money goes straight from your old 401k provider to your new IRA provider. You never even touch it. This simple choice completely avoids the 20% withholding. It gets rid of the 60-day deadline stress, removes the temptation to accidentally spend the money. When you're ready to roll over an old 401k, just contact your new IRA provider and tell them you want to do a direct rollover. They'll help you with the process from there. It is the safest, simplest, no-brainer method. Don't play rollover roulette. Insist on a direct rollover and take all that risk off the table. Section 5. Mistake 5. The forgotten beneficiary. We've made it to our last mistake. And this one might just be the most heartbreaking, because it impacts the people you love after you're gone. It's the mistake of forgetting to update your beneficiary designations. When you open an IRA, you name a beneficiary, the person who will inherit that account when you die. What so many people don't realize is that this beneficiary form is a legal document that supersedes your will. Let me say that again because it is so important. Your IRA beneficiary form overrides whatever is in your will. You could have a perfect ironclad will saying everything goes to your current spouse. But if your ex-spouse from 20 years ago is still named as the beneficiary on your $1 million IRA, your ex-spouse gets the money. Your will can't do a thing about it. The fallout from this is just devastating. I've seen it happen. People go through divorce, they remarry, have kids, a parent passes away. All these huge life events, and they forget to update their forms. This leads to money going to the wrong person, which can tear families apart with legal fights and delay funds from getting to the people who actually need them. And leaving the beneficiary line blank is just as bad. If no one is named, the IRA usually goes to your estate, forcing the money into a long, expensive, and public court process called probate, which can also trigger a bigger tax bill for your heirs. It's such a simple piece of paper, but forgetting about it can unravel your final wishes and create total chaos. The fix is to be proactive. You have to review your beneficiaries regularly. I recommend doing it once a year, maybe when you do an annual financial checkup. And you absolutely must review them right after any major life event: marriage, divorce, the birth of a child, or the death of a beneficiary. Log into your IRA account, find the beneficiary section, look at the names. Are these still the right people? Check both your primary and your contingent beneficiaries. That's the backup person who gets the money if the primary has already passed. This 5-minute checkup is one of the most important things you can do. It ensures your hard-earned legacy goes exactly where you want it to, giving your loved ones security instead of a legacy of conflict. So that's the list. The 5 biggest IRA mistakes that can quietly wreck your retirement. We've talked about the high cost of waiting to contribute, the penalties for contributing wrong, the silent drag of uninvested cash. the dangers of rollover roulette, and the heartbreaking mess of outdated beneficiaries. Each of these mistakes is common, and every single one is costly. But the good news is that they are all completely avoidable. You now know exactly what to look for to audit your own accounts, spot these errors, and fix them. Building a secure retirement isn't about some secret, complex strategy. It's about getting these fundamentals right. It's about being diligent, proactive, and informed. Take what you've learned today and put it into action. Your future self is going to thank you for it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.